like Miami.
Miami, 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 Miami.
It feel like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. Not that anybody wants to be here tonight, but I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, we have the great Siobhan. My Chiron is misspelled. It says the Raptors scored 11 points.
He win.
I fucking wish they scored 11 points. This would be a much better show. Miami Heat 104, Toronto Raptors 112. Rebounding the story of the night as well as turnovers. Chat says that's numbers, not spelling. You know what? That's fair. It's all in the same family. I feel. Bon.
Yep.
Listen, you cannot get doubled up on rebounds and then also almost get doubled up on turnovers. You need to pick a struggle if you're the Heat.
Yeah.
You need to pick one. You know,
You got it.
I got to be honest with you. The turnovers bothered me more because the size thing is like partly not their fault, right? It's like, this is what we have. It's the Kevin Durant thing. But it's like with small people. It's like, Kevin Durant's like, well, who the fuck is Nick Claxton? Or what? And, the Heat are like, well, Gabe is like 6'1" trying his best. You know what I mean? Like, man is pushing OG Anunoby at the fucking at the quad, full forearm. Not much they can do about that. That's a more of a front office kind of thing. But, and really their bigs just being fucking targets on defense. We can get to that later. The turnovers was like, foot out of bounds. It was offensive foul. It was dumbass pass. It was Jovic doing a suplex pass into the fourth row. It was fucking Caleb throwing something that I don't know where. It was offensive foul here. Like, Bond, the turnovers drove me absolutely insane.
Yeah, like you said, you can't pick a struggle, right? You can't like I don't know, like be lazy and uninspired. Like, be uninspired, but have like some ambition. I don't know, like, like have some inspiration but not just have the follow through. You can't have neither. And yeah, like you said, the rebounding stuff, there's but so much they can really do with that. It's still incredibly frustrating. I got like flashbacks to last year, Toronto, Gabe trying to box Pascal out under the basket, like arms up like a large baby. Like, what do you want me to do? But yeah, the turnover stuff, the types of things that are within their control, that they acted as if they had no control over tonight, did a lot. Before we started, you said Toronto shot 20 more just attempts than us.
Yes, 20 more field goal attempts.
That's what you're going to get. You got dubbed in rebounding, a bunch of turnovers. And so you don't even get chances. Like, you don't even get attempts, let alone like makes. You don't even get attempts at the basket. So it was, and with all of that, like, still only lost by 8. And so you take away,
and some of those were free throws at the end of the game too. It was closer than that.
Yeah, take 6 of those turnovers. Like, some of them moving screens, like you said, some of the like foot out of bounds, just little shit like that. Take some of that out, and you're in a better position to win this game that you were in position with kind of all game.
Couple funny things about the turnovers. A lot of them were dead ball turnovers, which are just much better to give up than, bad pass into steal, right? So Toronto actually not incredibly great in transition today. 118 points per play, which is obviously really good, but it's not really great for transition. Miami, 155, offensive rating in transition. Amazing. They're just not getting out. They were not getting out and running enough. Toronto, by the way, number 1 in the league at forcing turnovers. Miami, number 3 at forcing turnovers. Heat have really taken care of the ball this season. They were, I think, 6th in or 4th in lowest turnovers per game in the season, which is a far cry from last season where they were in the 20s. So they transitioned to taking care of the ball. Tonight was not that. I don't know if it's just increased stress of not having Bam, as a playmaker, really as a release valve in the elbow. Been a consistent of Spo's offense really since Chris Bosh. Guy in the elbow when everything, all else fails, find big
Yeah.
fella, whether it's Kelly, Bam, Bosch, whoever, to kind of release there. But turnovers were what they were. Bond, 41% offensive rebound rate for Toronto. Miami got clubbed on the boards. I don't know what there is to say other than like, without Bam, that's what's gonna look like. And if Dedmon goes down, it's gonna look worse. And you know, you have that kid on the bench. I guess dust his ass off because you need some sort of severance plan. You know what I mean?
Which kid? What are you talking about?
The other center that they just signed.
Oh, Orlando.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, hell, why not?
I keep thinking his Michael Potter. It's Tiff. Tiff always
That
asks
is
for
what-
Harry Potter, and now
Micah is a white guy.
yeah.
Orlando is not.
I don't know. I don't really know what to say other than like this happens until they make a move, and we kind of expected it. And today it just looked especially bad because matchup plus no Bam, and
Yeah.
Dedmon got hurt.
And even with Bam out, a lot of times they utilize him for his switching. So a lot of time he's away from the basket, and so he'll be on the floor. But it's still like Max and Gabe and Kyle trying to like box out the otherworldly thighs of like OG and Scotty and Pascal and guys like that. And it's kind of been the makeup of this team, or at least it's definitely felt like it since like through the whole Jimmy era. Like I know PJ was here and he gives you some girth, and so you're able to move people laterally, but he's not really someone that's like giving you a bunch of, you know, vert and just going up and snatching stuff. So, you know, definitely I guess more evident without Bam, but it still feels evident with Bam, or at least for me, it feels like kind of even worse when Bam is on the floor because he's away from being able to be down there to help. And now, like you said, without him, you just there's not even the facade of we should be able to get some of these boards because you're not. Toronto's extremely long, extremely athletic. Everyone's springy. There's only two people under 6'8". Like there's not much you're going to do against this matchup constructed the way we are with regards to the boards, other than trying to send like everybody at once. And even then, that everybody that you're sending are like, you know, 6'6" and shorter, and they're sending everyone like 6. Right, you're just like scratching at people's forearms and stuff.
Dedmon 0 rebounds, pretty unacceptable. I think Caleb Martin was your leading rebounder with 9. You know, Kyle's rebounding 1. You know, need more from him. Jimmy 1.
That is wow.
You know, Gabe 2. Good for you, I guess. Max 3. You know, that's just fucking not gonna cut it.
Yeah.
That's not gonna cut it. So, you know, to your point, Bon. So a lot is made. Cooper Moorhead tweets us out like after every fucking game. Heat are like top 5 in defensive rebound percentage, which is good and true. Like they are a good defensive rebounding team. I dug a little deeper the other day. They suck at rebounds in traffic. They do a good. They suck at it. They do a really good job of boxing. They're actually a very good box out team. And when they, you know, get all their guys and they fucking push everyone out the way, they get the rebounds. The problem is in these more chaotic situations, they can't grab them. And I think that's evident. And I don't think that means that they're a bad. I mean, they are a limited rebounding team. And I think with what they have, they do the best they can when they're whole. Okay, we're securing defensive rebounds. We're not going to offensive rebound because they just don't do that, which is fine, whatever. It's not important. Although last year, partly what kept their offense afloat was PJ was a very good offensive rebounder. Jimmy and Kyle were more active offensive rebounders. Really, the addition of Kyle and PJ, I thought, injected a lot of life into that part of the ball, and it was really good, and they were just great at it. This year, obviously, total opposite, all that stuff. Let's get into the small ball. Tiff, what are you talking about? What did I say? Let's get into the small ball.
You probably, because you said offensive rebound is not important.
No. I mean, like, in the terms of, like, you know, in terms of your defense, the context of, like, you know, in terms of your defense, like, you know, I think what we're talking about right now is their defensive rebounding. You know, you get a stop, you get the board. Not on offense when you're not giving yourself extra chances. That's obviously important, but where you're really getting fucked over, at least tonight. Yeah.
Those trafficky rebounds, those are the athletic, the size, the kind of tenacious types of things.
Yeah. So I want to get to the small ball stuff because I actually think that's like an interesting conversation to have. So they went Jimmy at the 5, and I, obviously the intended, what we expected happened. Their offense got way better. Their defense got better. Their rebounding went to the fucking toilet. And I want to have a conversation about this because, Jovic was a target and he was getting cooked. And that's fine. He's a young player. That's going to happen. They hunted Dedmon pretty much the entire second half. They put his ass in a drop and they look for him. And really same with Jovic. They play Jovic pretty deep. They're playing Dedmon way up high at the level. I don't really understand why they're doing that, but whatever.
Were they? I saw what felt like a lot of Dedmon, like deeper off than I feel like I would have liked them.
They've done a lot of him high up. Tonight it was a little more mixed, but I just think in general, Nikas and I talked about this yesterday. It's an adventure. He's an adventure this year on defense. So
why don't you like him at the level, if you don't mind, quickly?
I just think that they don't have enough they don't have enough rotation behind it to make it matter. Because usually Bam's not in the game when he's there. So it's like, it's not fair to ask Gabe to make that rotation. He's just not big enough. That has to be PJ, Jimmy, or they don't have the foot speed to do it. So that's kind of my issue. But I want your thoughts on them going small. Did you like it? Were you against a decision? Did you see the thinking process but didn't like the result? What were your thoughts on that late? Because they did close the gap.
The fourth quarter gap?
Yeah, when they were down like 10 or 11, they went small. They went Jimmy at the 5. They cut it, but they couldn't rebound. So that became the later issue when the Raptors were just like, okay, well, we're gonna do this.
Well, some of that fourth quarter stuff that got cut into, Dedmon was on the floor, like a lot of it. So it was a lot of Gabe stuff, and then there was like a lot of
the
20-0
run was like a lot of Dedmon and Jimmy.
So conceptually, I'm fine with it. I do think it takes a special type of weaponry to be able to kind of pull it off, and I don't know that Miami has it, and I think that I felt this way, for a little while. And like the offense, for me, it's never been an issue of what it's going to look like offensively. Like even at the start of the season when, the whole idea of Caleb playing the 4 kind of surfaced or whatever, I always recognized like there would be things that they'd be able to do, some creative types of things that they would be able to get things off the dribble, off the bounce, a lot of movement, cutting, second guy penetration type of stuff like that. It's always been present that they'd be able to do some creative stuff offensively, and that defensively they were going to try, but like the period on the end of a defensive possession is always the rebound, and that's always been kind of one of the areas that I felt was always going to bug them with some of the small ball stuff. And it has, and even defensively, like it requires a lot. And not that they can't do it, but again, they're going 8. He went 9 today, but you're asking a lot of rotate. Right. That fish swam today.
Read our tweets, baby.
You're asking guys a lot to consistently to rotate and help and like make up for there and the people next to them. And so, I don't hate it conceptually. I don't know that Miami has the people to do it in what doesn't feel extra laborious. But I think rebounding wise, it's always going to fuck them. And I think more teams are getting back to not necessarily a traditional center, but there is length. Like length is continuing to be a thing and to sprout up across the league. So I don't know.
Iman, our good friend Iman at Dishes and Dimes and Yahoo Canada and a bunch of other media, Hoopster says many things. She tweets out, "What does Duncan Robinson do better than Max Strus?" And Alf quote tweets with count money.
Count that, and that's it. And I told people 2 seasons ago, Max will at least be able to do some of that. But
count money?
No, some of
he'll
what
be doing that. He'll be doing that soon.
He sure will.
He sure will.
Damn uniform.
Probably ain't. Maybe here, maybe not. Probably not here, depending on how other things work out.
Should be here.
Jimmy
Another conversation.
Jimmy just yeah. I mean, we're gonna have that conversation. I imagine a lot in the next coming months. Trust me. Jimmy, I'm gonna get to some of your questions in chat in a second. I think we're gonna try to organize some sort of question having segment because a lot of people, especially when Bond's on, a lot of you have really good questions for her. So we're gonna get to this. I'm gonna get to Jimmy Jovic, and then we'll get to some questions real quick. We'll just knock these topics out. Jimmy just nodded today.
Yeah.
He has moments, and like, I'll never forget. We get mad at him in the regular season. And I remember last year during Game 6, might have been Trilly who tweeted out, "I'm just never gonna get mad at Jimmy for a shit performance in the middle of November ever again," because we know that he's that man. But then when you watch the shit performance in the middle of November, he just looks dejected. Like not like there was a Bond, that play where he passed to Max and Max had the little jump floater in the paint in the fourth quarter. It's like, bro, just go up and go up hard and take the fucking shot. Miss the layup. More turnovers than field goals. I don't know if I know that was at one point deep in the fourth quarter. That was true. I don't know if that's how the game ended. The point that it's even a conversation. Jimmy had 4. He had more turnovers. He had 5 turnovers and 4 field goals. Horrible game. Not active as a screener at all, Bond. Which there was no. And I tweeted this out. A lot of smart asses on Twitter. I go, no Jimmy Kyle pick and roll at all. And they're like, Kyle's not that guy. I go, bro, Kyle can screen for Jimmy. Jimmy's there. Yeah. Not that Fred is a great matchup because he's a good, but like, fuck, try something, do something. Get Jimmy in a slip, anything. Absolutely nothing. As bad as I've seen him play all year. I don't really know. I don't know what to make of it other than this is what he does sometimes, but it is frustrating to watch when, Bam's out and you need a big win.
And I think that it has a decent portion to do with the Bam being out, and he and Max were like visibly beefing. He missed Max twice. Max screened for him. So one time Max screened for him, and they didn't. Neither of them drew 2. And
I know Jimmy exactly when Jimmy had the turnover.
Yep, and then there was a time thereafter. Max screened for him. Max popped. Yep, Jimmy drew 2 and like bounced it off his foot baseline or something. And then again, like Jimmy attacking baseline had Max in the corner, and like you don't ever really see Jimmy miss his shooters. Too many times. In that short of span, and they had a little, I don't know, not a tiff, but like the camera kind of caught them in the middle of, some conversing. And Jimmy was like, I don't give a fuck what you thought, basically. And like, I didn't hear the rest of it, or I couldn't read the rest of it, but some ... So there was some like visible frustration. And I think that, there do come times where he does look a bit dejected. And I had a thought, a couple of weeks ago, and I tweeted it, and then I did some talking to Leif before I put out, kind of
vibes check master Leif.
Look at that guy. He had kind of some similar thoughts and some like, I guess they're off the floor chats or whatever, and we talked a little bit. And I think that the group kind of needs like some new blood, and there needs to be an injection of something different. And I know that they've been pretty good over the last 3 years, but you get tired of looking at the same guys. You get tired of like some dudes were supposed to pan out. Big hasn't been able to be healthy, hasn't panned out. They're still small. The things that were some of their demons, they're still kind of dealing with. And Jimmy, for his shit performances in November, he's still like Superman for this team. And when Bam's not there, and sometimes when Bam is there, until he's more consistently stepped into his more assertive role or whatever. Like I think sometimes Jimmy just feels like kind of just like fuck, like I'm tired. I don't know. It just I know what a group that like is a bit over itself looks like. And there have been times at small times during this season where it kind of like they just feel a little bit over themselves. And like I said, I was talking to Greg, and he was in their off the floor chat, and someone asked him the question like, how long before team chemistry starts going downhill because of all the losing? And he responded, "The losing will definitely bring out the frustration. I sometimes get the sense that this team didn't expect to be back together as constructed and maybe kind of over it. At least I think it shows in their disposition." And I kind of agree. And I think no one really kind of shows that more or in a more visible way than Jimmy sometimes. And I think tonight was one of the nights.
Yeah,
At least for me personally, it felt like that.
Leif's been a little panic lord about the vibes.
I
Whether,
don't want to
whether
call it panic.
nah,
I really do think that that's like
that's my
a
boy. So
fair. I think
I
that's a
mess with him.
fair perspective.
No, for sure. I mean, like it happens. I just think that if Jimmy's gonna feel that way, he has to not pass out of layups in the restricted area. I think as a bare minimum. I saw Jay Jock. I'm sorry, just Jared in chat says the last words Jimmy said in that exchange were whatever. Then sends a message. I don't give a fuck. Whatever.
Yep.
So much to think about. Obviously, missing four rotation players. They are a team. They are a group that has chips on their shoulders. They're a little rough around the edges. I agree that the group feels a little played out. And listen, I think we're gonna have conversations on whether Gabe and Max are gonna be here next season. I don't think Duncan's here next season for multiple reasons. So we're gonna, and Tyler may not be here next season. If Tyler's not here next season, something went really right. Let's put it that way. They got something good, but regardless, I'm sure that there will be changes then. Kind of just how this team works within the function of their salary cap, how they get really capped out. They need a year to breathe, and then they fix it, which has kind of been pretty kind of cyclical for them last few years. They've done a good job of retooling, so I think they will. But I kind of agree with you guys in that sense. Although, losing creates misery, and nothing says losing like losing an All NBA quality center and having to play a super duper small lineup because you're injured and you're hurt, and even Dedmon's playing with plantar fasciitis and all that stuff. So Jovic, kind of to close us out. Jovic, my man, looked good, bro. Rolling with purpose. Honestly, it fucking jumped out the page. I was like, yo, he's flying to the rim. In terms of not like Bam, who, when Bam's rolling, Bam's thinking of like a lot of things. Bam's like, oh, do I need to pass? Is help coming? How am I doing? Like, who do I get involved? Where's the guy stepping up?
How am I doing is really funny.
Yeah, just a lot. Listen, he's a thoughtful guy. Jovic, that guy don't give a fuck. He's like, I'm hooping, I'm scoring, I'm rolling. In a way that Tyler is sometimes, which I think is good for the team. They just need a motherfucker who just wants to score, who doesn't give a shit about the passing, about the just go. If you roll into traffic, who cares? Just go do it. It was fun to watch. The fact that he shot the ball, willing shooter, made some shots, looked really good, active. Bon, what did you see? How did you like him? Certainly Jovic is better than my video camera USB cable. What did you see and what did you like from his stint? And what do you want to see looking forward as we close this episode out?
I think I really enjoy his feel. I think with every time he touched the ball, especially with young players, like to make his first three or his first three attempts was really good, and then every time thereafter, especially in the role, he just felt more confident. He felt more sure of himself, and not that he wasn't before, but you can actively see the exhale in him, and like, oh, I'm okay, I'm cool, I can do this. I love his angles around the basket. I tweeted it. While they were simple pivots, he was making the correct ones near the basket. Really, really good feel and understanding of his body and his positioning. Really smart. People are still so shocked by his passing ability. Like, this dude has spent his entire playing career being the primary ball handler, playing against full grown men. He has an IQ, he has vision, he has an awareness, he understands plays as they're developing. The pass he hit Caleb on on Caleb's backdoor cut, him as a passer in the role feels really good for them. I know Bam does some playmaking for them out of the role too. But I don't know. I be wanting Bam to, look for his score, look for his basket out of his rolls, and I'm fine with, and I want Nicola to too, but to have your primary ball handler and your PG, and then another guy who is capable in the role and making really good reads, and just growing and coming into himself. It was just fun to see for me. What I want to see him. I think he deserves some consistent backup 5 minutes. I think that, of course, he's going to continue to get stronger. He has to continue to get stronger. He has to continue to get more agile. His reaction time has to quicken a bit. Um, uh, yeah, agility, all of the things that it is that he's going to need to work on. If it's out of 100, I think that like at least 85% of it is just going to be physique stuff, his body, his strength, his agility, timing, all of that stuff. So I think he'll be fine. I think that this should be the start of seeing him a little bit more consistently. um and yeah, I like that he offers them a different dynamic. That starting group had some space, the ball was moving, it felt like it had like a good flow and a good energy to it. So I hope he doesn't just go back to being stashed on the bench once, Bam and Tyler come back. Find a way to continue to get him some live ball reps.
Absolutely. He's, by the way, the only dude that's happy in that locker room post game. I just saw a video of him being interviewed. Motherfucker looks happy as fuck. Listen, Bond.
We can't even be mad at that.
I can't wait for you to cover a game in the locker room, because even after losses, you see those. There's always one motherfucker that had a good game. You get throttled. I remember there was a game in Miami. It was against the Raptors, funny enough, and they got absolutely blasted. Hassan had a good game. Might have had 20 and 10. And I don't know where your camera went. That is no, the chat can't hear you. That is very strange. Well, technical difficulties. OBS is evicting us. God knows what happens. Long story short, Hassan was the only happy dude in that locker room after they got throttled by like 20 against the Raptors. Listen, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Or not. There's a podcast tomorrow. Maybe not. I think there's a podcast. We'll see. I'm trying to get Bond back. I don't know what's happening. Well, that's not working. I don't know what happened. Well, we were gonna leave anyway. These shows are about 30 minutes. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We do these every weeknight, pre and post hangover time once a week. I believe next hangover time is Monday, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll try one more time to get Bond back. We'll see how this goes. Listen, this is the equivalent of an on-air turnover. There she is. Yeah. So that's really our show. I would just take solace in the fact of considering that Miami was, doubled up on rebounds and almost doubled up on turnovers. They were in that game until the end. They are not as bad as everyone says. However, they do have warts and problems that ignoring is pretending like a real problem doesn't exist. There is a nuance in between, and there is, let's all collectively chill a bit, as Cleveland lost their 5th in a row, and they're coming into town on Sunday. So looking forward to that, guys. Love you guys. See you tomorrow, and if not, I will be doing a Sunday show, pre and post. So don't worry, we got your weekend for that big Cavs game covered. Peace out.